Hey everyone, so we're back again with another Reddit Reacts. I don't want to make this, a constant thing, but there is one specific comment that I saw that I want to address because I think this is a really good opportunity to talk about game design and game development, especially as I've had a few commenters commenting that they haven't really seen any game design going on, and what I think that they lack is the ability to pass that video game design is not purely coding. There is a lot more to a video game than just the technical mechanics, right? One of the reasons why I love video games is because it blends all the mediums that I love. So you've got visual design, motion, stills, cinematics, artwork, and then you've got music, you've got score, you've got sound, you've got narrative, you've got voice acting, you've even got mocap acting now as well, and it's getting closer and closer to having a full performance capture. So it's got the blend of those two mediums that I absolutely love, and then the third medium, which is where I cut my teeth, which is literature. It is at the heart, it's still a narrative experience, and it's still, script based, and this is before you even touch a line of code, right? And I think this is what I've seen from when I've been on Reddit and on indie game dev, stuff like that. People want to learn the basics, right? They want to learn how to move a box around a 3D environment, or write small scripts or whatever, and rush something out, get released, and learn from the experience. And I just think that it's bullshit, absolute bullshit. It's just what good is it to make something that has been done 10,000 times? And to be honest, a little bit like the Fender Telecaster, the first time it was done, it was perfect. Super Mario, boom, done, finished, no need to go forward, right? Super Mario didn't just keep re-releasing Mario. Look at the last one, it's not 2D, is it? They've experimented and gone forward and used the technology that's available. So, as I said, I found a Reddit post that I really want to talk about. So what I'll do is I will get my window capture up, if you just wait a moment. So let's just select the right window. I'm still working out OBS here, so just forgive me, but you should be able to see this now. Okay, so there we are. We've got my trying to just work this out. So window capture, and it's right, so here we are. Let's bring this over to the middle a little bit just so you can see it. And I'm going to turn to face the screen now so that I can read it out. So 5 years of jumping between side projects without finishing one. I think I finally understand why. Okay, so we're talking to Roguetron here, and he says, I'm a developer with 20 years of experience in code and 3D design. Technically, I can build pretty much anything I want. That's not my problem. Okay, so that's where he's coming from. He is able to build anything according to him. Talk is cheap, obviously. My problem is that I keep starting projects, riding the initial wave of excitement, and then bailing the moment I hit the part that scares me. And after 5 years of this pattern, I think I figured out what that part is: player retention and progression design. Okay, so first of all, self-editing is the skill of masters. If you can figure out what it is you are doing wrong and don't need someone else to tell you, then that is optimal. That is what I aim for. But obviously, you don't listen to everyone, right? You still have to have your own ideas. Technical side, love it. I can prototype a game in a weekend and feel like a god. Don't think so. Really don't. I don't think that Kojima can prototype a game in a weekend. I don't think that Banshee Interactive prototyped Expedition 33 in a weekend. And I think that if you start feeling like a god about it, then, like they say, we can go into the gym if you don't feel the burn, you're not exercising enough. So if you're playing within your strengths, then you are not pushing boundaries. Okay, but let's keep going. But the moment I have to figure out, okay, how do I keep someone playing this for 2 hours? I freeze, convince myself the project is too big, and move on to the next shiny idea. So, just as we said, he's confirmed it himself. What he considers building anything I want is a very low bar. What he wants is a very low bar. Otherwise, it can't be done in the time frame that he says it can be. 100% no. Not at all. Here's my graveyard. Incremental game. A la Nodebuster. I'm not aware of Nodebuster, so you will have to forgive me. Technically dead simple, but the progression curve, testing and balancing that felt like an endless nightmare. I talked myself out of it before really trying. Well, there you go. I guess I might as well as expand on this, because it seems that, people seem to miss the obvious. There you go. If you don't even try, then what more is there to be said? I can't really say anything, right? Vampire Survivors style game. Actually started building this one. Then I looked at the meta progression systems and thought, this is way too complex for a solo dev side project. Abandoned. Well, there you go. Same mentality, right? Too much for one person. So he just gives up. Well, if it's too much for one person, what do? You more hands, right? I'm not about giving up. I'm not about. I just no. This just rubs me the wrong way. I'm just not a person who walls are to be demolished. Problems are to be solved. Hurdles are there to be jumped, right? The hurdles are not there to stop the racer running. The hurdles are there to prove that the racer can jump them, right? So let's carry on, and this is the one that I targeted to speak to him about. FPS Arena Wave based single player. This is where I am now. I already have a solid FPS controller. I can do the 3D art. I have a visual style in mind. But I'm stuck on the same fear. How do I keep a player engaged for even 2 hours with minimal content? The idea of designing that retention loop paralyzes me. And then we'll carry on reading before I go into my comment. See, the pattern is always the same wall. Not can I build this, but can I make this fun for long enough? And we've already seen that he hasn't even tried. I'm starting to wonder if I'm, one, overthinking progression and retention for small games. Do I even need 2 hours? Is it even a game? I've played demos for longer than 2 hours. Picking the wrong types of games for a solo side project. Just scared of finishing and shipping, and progression is my excuse. For context, I want to ship on Steam. I'm working solo. I can dedicate 10 to 20 hours a week, and I want to keep the scope absolutely minimal. There you go, absolutely minimal. He said it out of the horse's mouth. I don't need to make a living from this, but I'd like to generate at least some return. For those of you who have actually shipped a small game solo, how do you handle the retention progression problem? Did you just keep short and not worry about it? Am I massively overthinking this? Any reality check is welcome. I need to break this cycle. Disclaimer, English is not my first language. I used AI to improve clarity and fix grammar mistakes. No problem. Intent is there. I understand exactly what he's saying. I don't believe there's any problem with using AI to translate. It's actually one of its better jobs, but you have to be careful, because if you don't understand the language it's going into, then it's a problem. But if you understand the language enough to know it's done a good job, then this is a very good use for AI. So let's go down to my comments. So Banshee Interactive. FPS Arena based single player. This is where I am now. I already have a solid FPS controller. I can do the 3D art. I have a visual style in mind, but I'm stuck on the same fear. How do I keep the player engaged for even 2 hours with minimal content? The idea of designing that retention loop paralyzes me. And this is where I come in. Let us just take this one as an example. What is an arena shooter? And then this is what we have to do, right? You go back to basics. It's two things: a fast-paced competition and a power fantasy. You took away the competition part, which he did by making it single player. So what do you have left? And this is the question. This is where his retention will come from. Why do people keep coming back? And you don't know because you've not made that game, right? So you have to look elsewhere. And it's quite simple, I think, if we have a look at even... I don't play arena shooters so much anymore, but I was very much into them in the early 2000s, in the Unreal Tournament days. And I think a lot of what the first-person shooter genre is spawned from that. But, you know, we look at things like... what's the big one, right? I forget. But here's my my answer. Why do people keep coming back? Because they want to be the avatar. Look at how many people worship their avatars, buying statues, artwork, skins, cosplaying as them even, right? And that's the thing. If you love who you're pretending to be, it's the same with an RPG a little bit, right? You know, if you love that character, you'll just want to spend time as that character. And that is one of the things that has nothing to do with code, has nothing to do with retention curves or whatever the hell this guy is talking about. That's just the plumbing. That's not the water, you know? He's talking about the water and then wondering if his pipes are big enough or whatever, but he's not realizing that you have to have a well first, right? You have to dig a well, you have to find the source. And this is the source, right? This is the source. If you want to do an arena shooter, then people have to love their avatar. And then I've given a few examples. If you want the player as avatar a la Doom, then make the weapons the star, like the BFG, or do both, like Halo. The Needler and Energy Sword are just as iconic as the Mjolnir armor, if not quite as iconic as Chief or Cortana. So that's what I'm saying. You know, if you don't want people to be in as the character, you know, then have them in the world, have them love the weapons. And I think the Doom is an amazing example of this. Wolfenstein, that sort of thing, where you're there to use the imaginary weaponry and just have that power fantasy of just, you know, mowing down hordes and hordes of demons. And the same with Halo. Halo has more. Halo has a very good narrative. It has a very good protagonist. It has so many good support characters. It has antagonists. But if we just strip it down to the bare minimum, it still has that. It still has the amazing weapons. It still has the iconic avatar of, you know, and we know it works past Chief because, you know, we've got, you know, what's called Reach, right? And Red versus Blue. And the Hayabusa armor, remember that? You know, people would play for years just to get that Hayabusa armor. So there's more to it, right? There is so much more to it than just retention curves or optimizing some algorithm. You know, you don't need that. You need to give the player a reason why they're coming back. And even, you know, like I was saying, this goes even into the enemies as well. With Halo, we've got elites and the cacodemons from Doom. So you've got iconic enemies, and you know when they turn up, it's like a mini boss fight, right? You could even look at games like Gears and Unreal Tournament, which is where I cut my teeth, where it's less about a singular thing and how the flavor of the world is the star. You know, especially Unreal Tournament, there wasn't a specific gun or a specific person that I can remember, but we all remember those burly Arnold Schwarzenegger in power armor with the plasma. All the weapons were crazy colored purples, pinks, greens, neons in a world that was just drab and dreadful and awful and robotic and mechanical and Geiger-esque. You know, and that's what you came for. That's why you'd miss it, you know. If Unreal Tournament, you hadn't played Unreal Tournament for a little while, you'd want to jump back into playing Unreal Tournament because you missed it. You missed that world. You missed being in it. And then obviously they expanded that. They had Marcus and they had the Gears team. And as that went along, they started implementing more narrative elements into Gears, but it still stood on that foundation, right? You know, even the swarms, they didn't look very different. You had a couple of different ones, like even surprisingly, with my name, even the Banshee, right? And same with Halo. Actually, Halo had the Banshee too, didn't they? So there's a little bit of destiny there. But what I was saying, the Hammer of Dawn as well, right? You know, everyone remembers that iconic moment of the Brumac chasing you through the building, and then you come out and then hit the Hammer of Dawn. It just, oh my god, you know, the Hammer of Dawn itself. That's as iconic as the PFG or as the shotgun or as whatever. And then this is the part that people won't like, and I put this right at the bottom. Not to be harsh, but a bricklayer or even an interior designer isn't an architect. Look at clouds with designers, writers, directors, as those are what your projects are missing. The how isn't the why, never will be, never can be. Stop thinking about how and start thinking of why. If you want a reality check, that's it, my friend. Sent to you first class with a stamp on it. And this is my reality check to Roguetron. Games are like films. They're collaborative in absolutely every sense. You can't do everything yourself. No one is brilliant at everything. I've got a very specific vision in mind for my game, and I want to be competent enough that I can build something that I can show coders, show artists, show voice actors, Foley teams, show whatever it is that may be, script writers. You know, I'm pretty good at writing narrative, but I would still like a second pair of eyes by someone who knows what they're doing with scripts. And my ego is tied to the quality of my game, not to the quality of my individual output. I know what I'm good at, and I know where I'm better than other people, but I also know where I'm worse than other people, and I think that this person doesn't. This person thinks that his game has to be made by him alone. But if it's made by him alone, either he has to spend another 5 years filling in the blanks of his skill set, or he has to just realize that there's massive parts of his game that are just going to be suboptimal. And there we have it. I think that these Reddit posts, they really show the identity of what Banshee Interactive is and where I stand in comparison to the indie sphere. So this is Banshee Interactive. I'm David Roberts. And remember, this is not a simulation.